HorizonTV, the beacon for the nation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and very good evening right here from the heart of Nairobi CBD, Central Business District. My name is Feisal, Kassim, and welcome to Live Real Talk, where tonight we will be looking at matters politics, as I decide to call it, matters governance. What has been happening this week and how exactly is it going to translate the effect on you, the Mwananchi, the Mariam, the Abdallah, the Wanjiko down there on the ground. Before we take it further, let's see what HorizonTV's Suleiman Nachesa has for us on matters Jubilee headquarters.
The Deputy President William Ruto on Thursday held a meeting at the Jubilee Party headquarters, accompanied by 38 MPs allied to him in what was seen as part of his scheme to recapture Jubilee. The Deputy President has now resolved to work from the Pangani-based office at least twice a week to kick out hijackers. The DP on Thursday made it clear that he will stop at nothing to ensure that order is restored in Jubilee, despite clear signs of a falling out with the president, who is the party leader.
Tunataka kuongea mambo ya mahasla hawa. Watu wa bodaboda. Wale wanauza nyama pale. Wale wanauza kiosk. Watu wa kinyosi. Hawa wananchi wadogo ndio tunataka kuongea mambo yao. Ama ni aje? Ndio mimi nimesema liwe liwalo. Wapande juu, washuke chini. Waende kulia, waende kushoto. Wapande mlima, washuke mabonde. Hii Kenya tutabadilisha mjadala.
Meru Senator Mithika Linturi, who was with Ruto, dismissed claims that the DP and his allies were staging a coup in the party that had shoved them to the periphery.
Tulikuwa na mkutano kidogo yaweza kubadilishana maoni hapa na pale kuhusu chama chetu. Na tulikuja hapa na nataka msikie vizuri. Na kwanza niwaambie, sababu nimeona wengine wenu ama katika mitandao yenu, radio zingine, TV zingine, ya kwamba kuna habari tayari mmeenesha huko ya kusema tumefanya mapinduzi katika chama hapa. There is no coup, na hakuna mapinduzi tumefanya katika chama chetu. Ya kwamba nataka kuwauliza, unaweza aje kufanya mapinduzi katika nyumba yako? Chama cha Jubilee ni chama chetu. Chama cha Jubilee sisi ndio tunakifadhili.
On Friday the 2nd, Jubilee Party Secretary General Honorable Raphael Tuju, in addressing the media from Jubilee Party headquarters, barred the Deputy President from using the headquarter for his early 2022 campaigns. Tuju accused the Deputy President's action as an attempted power grab, adding that DP Ruto has in the recent past exhibited arrogance, insolence and disrespect of President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is also the Jubilee Party leader.
And the President's platform of uniting the country, fighting against corruption and the agenda for items. He will no longer be allowed to use the party headquarters to make such statements that are principally for his breakaway faction of the party. It is noteworthy that the party constitution has not given the deputy president or the deputy party leader any specific role of organizing party grassroots elections in collaboration with the MPs he has selected and senators, as emerged from the press conference yesterday addressed by MPs and senators allied to him. The NMC has recommended to the NEC that the DP ceases to be deputy party leader after he opened the so-called Jubilee Asili offices that is reserved for him and his allies until such a time that this development of Jubilee Asili will be discussed at the neck.
Several leaders took to the social media reacting to the move. According to a tweet by Kipchumba Murkomen, the president is working to unite the country together with his deputy president, and the Secretary General Lafai Tuju should come clear whether he is talking on his behalf or on behalf of someone else. Nechesa Suleiman, Horizon TV.
Thank you so much, Suleiman of Tumbo, right there with that comprehensive report on what has been happening on the Jubilee's administration kitchen. And joining me this evening to talk about this, I'm having Mr. Nurdin Kagia, who's a young lawyer, young legislator, and a political analyst. Thank you so much for making time for us this evening, Mr. Nurdin.
Thank you for having me.
Karibu sana. Just starting from what we just watched, it seems like it's now gloves off. How do you interpret this, where His Excellency the President goes out to France to attend the BPI conference, and then here the Deputy President, who is the Deputy Party Leader of the Jubilee Party, goes to the headquarters to conduct his meetings there, and today we saw what happened. It appears like it's gloves off between these two people. How do you interpret it, sir?
What we see right now is a civil rivalry between the two factions in the party. Because right now we have those who are Tanga and we have Kieleweke. The funny thing is that none of them wants to let go of Jubilee. Because you heard Ruto say they've invested so much in the party and no one will kick him out. He's famous for saying they kicked him out of KANU, ODM, and no one will kick him out of Jubilee. And to play the devil's advocate, I believe he has a stick, because everybody saw him campaigning, and you understand the frustration or the pain he has. Now, on the other side, could he do things better? I believe so, because some would interpret what happened yesterday with him going with those members of parliament and the Senate who are loyal to him as storming the headquarters after they said they will no longer go there, and they opened an office. Now, the funny thing is that opening Jubilee Asili offices, that is not a registered party. Those are just offices. So when Tuju says, for example, that he opened an office of another party, it's not a party. It's more or less like a caucus where they sit. So by law, he's still their constitution, he's still the deputy party leader.
Which, as it is currently as we're speaking, there is no single confirmation that there's something known as Jubilee Asili in existence, correct?
Yes.
Exactly. So it's still an ideology, an amorphous existence of an entity, correct?
Yeah.
So currently you're saying that, what do you take of the Deputy President's move of going to the party headquarters and conduct his business from there? For the longest time, he's been doing his business and campaign and strategy meetings from his current residence and office. But recently, when the president went out of the country, is when he decided to step into the party headquarters. What do you take of that action?
Two things. First of all, I believe he wants to show that he's still in control and he's fearless and he can tackle anyone, and that's why he goes there. And the other option, he might be looking for a way out, and he's looking for a way to tell his supporters, you see these people, I campaigned for them, I did A, B, C, D, and they kicked me out. Now what Tuju is doing, he's helping him use the victim card. Now, you know, he can go and say, now they don't want me they don't want me at the headquarters. So I might as well open my own party. And his followers would say, Asante Apunda ni Mateke, as is normal saying. So we are in for interesting times. 2022 will be interesting, because as you know him, he's not one to give up.
Interesting. One narrative that the Deputy President has succeeded to instill in Kenya's medullas, and it's now a narrative that's almost everywhere, is the hustlers versus the dynasties, which is being dismissed, of course, by the protagonists on the other side, saying that there is nothing such as hustlers. Himself is a billionaire walking around with choppers and guzzlers around, yet he's calling himself a hustler. So this is nothing less of mocking the actual real hustler. What do you take of that?
For now, I believe our politics has evolved to the next stage or next step. Why do I say this? Simply because we normally talk about ethnicity and ethnic balkanization. It's always about, for me to become president, I need Kikuyu, Luo, Luya, the big five as they're known. Now he's trying to change the narrative from that into the hustlers and the dynasties. Now, some would argue he's been in office for 8 years. Didn't he realize that people were suffering? then he would say, I did my part. But at the same time, it's never too late to wake up, because in as much as he's given wheelbarrows and spades and carts and borders, to some it may mean it's demeaning, but to some people, he's actually helping them. Some people who are down there, they'll feel that they are more or less attached to him. So he's playing an interesting game, which I believe the people who are meant to gain from this are the youth, which we should gain, because now everybody wants to be attached with the youth. Everybody wants to show that I love the youth more. So he's showing that he's working with the youth. The other side are saying he's not helping you, but they're not giving any alternative. So which is funny.
Being a deputy president, I mean, you're second in command when it comes to the executive arm of government, and you're outside here busy dishing out handouts, of course, as you're saying. To some people, yes, it's helping. But again, you're on the table where you can help formulate policies and put up structures that will ensure that that young man or woman down there will be able to earn his or her daily bread, besides just handouts of giving him the wheelbarrows today or the cart tomorrow or the spade the other day. So which one do you think should be a priority in this case? Is it setting up policies that would ultimately help that young Wanjiko down there or Mariam outside there to earn her living, or rather go out and dish handout? Which is more sustainable?
I believe policies is the way forward. That is the real empowerment that we want. But since it's not what they offer us, at the moment he's offering us whatever he's offering us. Now, that is his way of trying to get the youth in his side or on his side. Now, the problem is, the other side is not offering anything at all. They are saying BBI. Now, when you ask a young man what BBI really is, they'll tell you, they said it's all about inclusion. But, on the other hand, it's BBI man as the deputy president, so where is the inclusion? So those are the questions we're asking. Now, for a young man, we have two factions who are fighting for us. Every other electioneering period, we are ladders. They use, then they dump. Jubilee rode on the youth wave 2013 and 2017. That's why they won. And their campaign were held by the young guys. So when they got the power, the appointments we saw, 55-year-olds, 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds, nothing against them. But if you campaigned on a youthful platform and did nothing, now they want to come back again and use the same thing. This is the time we tell the young men and women out there, politics is all about personal interest. You ask yourself, between the two functions, who has my interest, or where will my interest lie? For example, this is something I've been telling so many young men and women out there. This is the time to take up leadership positions. It's not the time to be afraid. It's not the time to be used and dumped. They have been in office for 40, 30, 20 years. Enough is enough. Now we need fresh blood. We need young leaders who can liberate the country. We've had colonization, then we had independence, then we had new colonization, then we had the first and the second liberation, which has not liberated the country. So we need the third and final liberation, which the youth, you and I,
but actually what we're looking at here is a system. What we're looking here is a structural system that has been in existence for ages and decades right now. We have seen vibrant youth leaders coming up, but ultimately they end up joining the system that has been in existence for a very long time. So what different will the young blood bring into the game?
The difference is, ask yourself, the person you voted for 4, 5 or 10 years back, how has that person helped you? And if you find he has done nothing to you, ask yourself, what should you do differently? Now, we're talking about youth empowerment, social, political, and economically. Now, on the political aspect, everyone says it's time for the youth. In electing young leaders, don't just elect someone because he's young. Look at what he has to offer. There's substance. You know, when you look at developed countries and you see young legislators, you ask yourself, why aren't we here? Because the ones we elect are young via age, their body organs or whatever, but when you look at their mentality when they get there, it's all about greed. So we need to have young people who first of all love their country. When you love your country, you will do what's best for your country. After that, your country, once you love it and you work for it, the development in your country will uplift your social life. But if you love yourself more than your country, we will stay with leaders that we have today who are always tumbocrats.
Patriotism, you say?
Yes.
At what cost? Someone just, Abi says here on Facebook, liberation na njaa haiwezi.
Now you see,
there are no opportunities outside there. So basically, we need the resources. The young people outside there, they need the resources to go outside there and fend for themselves and get these positions.
Now let me tell you something. You see, that's the mentality we're talking about. We have to have something. You know, like he said, liberation and Jahi. Let me ask you something. When the Arab uprising happened, were people eating? People were sick and tired. You need to be sick and tired of being seduced, used and abused every other electioneering period. You need to wake up from the quagmire of always asking yourself, what will happen in the next 5 years? You need to say, I'm sick and tired of this. Enough is enough. When you love your country more than you love the purporting kingpins, and you know we shouldn't have kingpins in this country. I don't believe we should elect people on policy. What do you have to offer me? What do I gain by you actually getting the seat? And that is what we as young men should do. I, as Nordin Kagai, I have been the Secretary General of Youth Movement of Kenya, formed in late 2015. August 2015, I've been Secretary General from 2015 to 2019. The reason behind YMK was to bring together every single young man and woman, irrespective of gender, irrespective of tribe, irrespective of party affiliations. What we have in Kenya is that young men and women are fighting wars they know nothing about. You are fighting a war between Uhuru and Raila that does not help you in any way. You're fighting a war between Raila and Ruto that does not help you in any way. When Uhuru and Raila were together, bosom buddies having a good time, they never consulted you.
Wakili, what do you mean they're not helping them in any way? And Raila or Uhuru, His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, or Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, or His Excellency Deputy President William Ruto are the ones giving these handouts and coming down on the ground and dishing out resources to these young men. So, I mean, it's interest, as you say.
What I will say is that, yes, they're dishing handouts, as you call them. But is that what we deserve? Okay, we'll say, okay, you've given me a cut, you've given me Kassim Tani, okay, but upgrade yourself. What next? People have gone to school. You go to school, you finish school, and you come and sit with your degree or certificate or whatever, and nothing changes. It's okay. You cannot manufacture employment. But what about changing our education system in that you put more in entrepreneurship than the exam-based quality that we have? You see, the reason I'm saying they have not helped the youth is simple. Because they use the philosophy that is impoverish them to use them. Because once they empower you, they will never call you for a demonstration on a Monday because you have things to do. They'll never give you 500 shillings to go heckle because you have things to do. And we need people who have the goodwill to help the young men and women. That is you and I. And that stems from you deciding. But those who say, I will not vote next time, bad leaders are elected by those who vote and those who don't vote. Those who say, I'm tired of this politics, I'm not interested. Politics is a way of life. You have politics in your marriage, you have politics at the office, you have politics in everything you do. So you say, I'm not part and parcel of politics, you're lying to yourself. So I believe it's time we wake up from the slumber that we are in, you and I. Wake up from the slumber we're in, break or shake off the shackles and make a better Kenya for ourselves and our children.
Wow. Thanks so much. That's quite inspirational. Abe Councillor says William Samoei Ruto is ready to help. Again, empowering of the youth. The same Abe Councillor says Samoei Ruto helps youth. Watu wengine wanasikia wivu. Of course, that's one thing that we've been hearing. Same liberation Nanja haiwezi. That's great. Keep working hard. Wakili, you're getting a lot of support. Wakili, as we are summarizing this topic, Jubilee's vice chair, that is Honorable Murathe, came out guns blazing against the Deputy President, William Ruto, saying that he is trying a coup attempt against the leadership of the party that is actually deputy to. Deputy President William Ruto is trying is attempting a coup at the Jubilee Party. Rather, he should be focusing on continuing with what the president was supposed to be doing if he were in the country. Why? Because constitutionally, he is the deputy president. What's your take on Murathe's sentiments?
First and foremost, I believe him going to Jubilee is an issue. As deputy party leader, he has access to Jubilee. I don't think he needs anyone's permission to go to the headquarters. But the reason why Murathe speaks as he speaks is because Kenya ails from one disease. Political parties are personal entities. Where someone feels Jubilee is Uhuru's, ODM is Raila's, Wiper is Kalonzo's, ANC is Mudavadi's. it's no longer about the people. A party should be owned by the people. But when you realize in our country, it's all about a personal entity. And that is why Murathe will speak the way he wants to speak. And the DP will feel like he has to assert or he has to show that I'm fearless, I can take on anyone I want to take on. And that's why you're having the ugly scenes that we're seeing right now. And you know, for the ruling party, it's sending shockwaves, believe you me, because the international community is seeing all this. We are just from an election a few years ago. This period that we have been after the 2017 elections, no work has been done. It's politics after politics after politics. And we, as the young people, or Kenyans at large, need services delivered. There are promises they promised you. Let me ask you a question. What happened to the laptops that they talked about? Nobody's talking about that. What happened to the roads? Yes, they quote statistics. What happened to the roads? What happened to the studies? They are taking us away from asking important questions. And now we are here busy talking about wheelbarrows and the BBI. Is that really what we deserve? And then we'll forget about the manifesto that was launched with pomp and color. We need to ask hard-hitting questions. What happened to the empty promises that we got? If you had laptops right now, the children will be reading from school because of Corona. But they're not there. So we have to wake up, as I said.
Interesting. Before we go on a break, there's an interesting question here from William Ogola. Says, I'll say it here politically and personally, that everyone must ask himself or herself, what do the youth have to offer the country? We need to be open-minded. As the youth, you are seriously pushing that the youth should go out and grab these positions, right? So what do we have to offer in the in the leadership of this country?
I believe we have a lot to offer. And why do I say this? Because the laws that are being made in Kenya right now are going to affect you and I. And that is because we have the advantage of time. These guys are just there on borrowed time. But they will leave a country for you, either one, bedridden or full of loans that you can't pay. Now, you need to wake up and decide what you want to be. And every young man and woman who feels that they have no purpose, I will tell you to go and look for one Thomas Sankara. Ask yourself, would I love my country as he loved this country? Because he loved this country and liberated his people. And as young men, as young men, you should always ask yourself, what do I have to offer? And you have a lot to offer. Never despair. And it's never too late. Because so long as you're breathing, and so long as you wake up the next day, you have what it takes to change this country. It is for you and I to do that.
Thank you so much, Okili, for that amazing answer. Keep on texting, keep on tweeting here at Horizon TV. We are going on a very short break, and when we come back, we are talking about the role of the youth in transforming the leadership of this country. Msambweni, a lot has been happening. First, we saw that the Jubilee Party were to field a candidate by the name Mariam Shalet, who was going to be given House certificate, but upon arriving there, we took our ground, COSM, and right now, His Excellency, the Deputy President, is backing yet another aspirant, or rather another candidate, going as an independent candidate for the Msambweni by-election. Again, what's the youth role in transforming the leadership? All these and much more after the break. Don't go away.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Kuanzia Jumatatu hadi Ijumaa kila saa 2 hadi saa 3 asubuhi na saa 10 hadi 10:30 jioni, Horizon TV ikishirikiana na taasisi ya maendeleo ya mtaala yani KICD itakuletea vipindi vya masomo ya msingi na ya sekondari. Usikose kuungana nasi kila siku ya wiki saa 2 hadi saa 3 asubuhi na saa 10 hadi 10:30 jioni.
Thank you so much, Suleiman Joseph Tumba, and thank you so much for keeping it live, real talk. Imagine I'm trying to request for water from my producer and director, but he's keeping me waiting all this time. Jamani tafadhali, please come on, man. Get us water, please, tafadhali, hapa here inside the studio. Anyway, on matters politics in Msambweni, a lot has been happening. Let's listen into what His Excellency, the Deputy President, had to say the day that he intended to field a candidate for the Msambweni by-election. But as I said, kwa ground, vitu was not the same.
Omar E. Bora, 6,183. It's now my pleasure to declare that Omar E. Bora is the candidate for Msambweni constituency. It's now my pleasure to declare that Omar E. Bora is the candidate for Msambweni constituency.
Regional parties, and that is why we stand as Jubilee. I have had a meeting with the Secretary General and his officials here on the by-elections. They have briefed me on the decisions that have been made on the various positions. And I am satisfied with what they have done. I had all different view on the party fielding a candidate in Msambweni. I was of a different view, but because a decision has already been made and communicated, we will all stand by that decision that has now been communicated to the public, that those who had intentions of vying on Jubilee in Msambweni will now look for alternative avenues, maybe run as independents or in other political parties. But while we say that, I want to assure the membership of Jubilee across the country that the party is not being folded, and no impression should be created that by not fielding a candidate in Msambweni, that Jubilee is shrinking. In fact, Jubilee is expanding. And going forward, we will ensure that the party participates as it should in every election across the country, if there are any, and to ready ourselves for the future as we see other parties do their thing. I have consulted with with the Secretary General, and we will be having meetings to prepare ourselves to ready the party for party elections, the ones we postponed, as soon as we are through with the corona problems.
Apologies for that mix-up of videos. One of the videos that you saw, that was His Excellency Deputy President William Samoei Ruto actually seemingly accepting the decision made by the Jubilee Party, of course, in a circular that was sent to all the media houses in regards to the Jubilee Party not fielding a candidate in the Msambweni by-election. The follow-up video actually that came just before that was that of the victory of Omar Boga, who's a candidate with the ODM ticket in the Msambweni by-election. Wakili, we are here talking about youth taking up positions, and we have seen a number of young people who went in to seek the candidature of respective parties for as far as this Msambweni by-election is concerned. Actually, a number of youth wanted to be the ODM's flag bearer. So we are here talking about youth role in taking up, actually youth wanting or need to take up some of these leadership positions. But it seemingly appears that maybe the community is not ready to give the youth this chance to take up these positions. And this is quite evident from what has happened, the result that we just saw in the Msambweni ODM nomination. What's your take, Wakili, on that?
First and foremost, I believe youth rising is always going to cause shockwaves or pain and consternation to so many people. Because we have people who fear the youth. And anywhere in the world you ask yourself and you hear that youth are together, that is always the beginning of something great. It's the beginning of most of them uprisings and whatnot. Like you saw in Sudan, the lady who led the uprising there was a young person. Nobody wants the youth empowered, because once they know the youth are empowered, they're in danger according to them. That's what they perceive, because they know they have abused the youth in so many ways, and they will not want to let go of the power. Now, what I believe and what I know is that in politics, power is never given or handed over to you. You have to take it. You have to show that you want it. Show why you want it. Why do you want it so much? And in as much as we're talking about youth and leadership and whatnot, I believe not every young man who says he or she wants to be a leader, not everyone has the goodwill, because some are young, but their mentality is old and they want to go there and make money. And I'll tell you for free that money is never made, money is earned. When you make money, your crumbling will be so fast you'd forget how to tie your shoes. So I believe we are in a good space right now, because now we are talking about, one, the two-third gender rule, and two, we're talking about the youth. These are two groups that have for years been marginalized when it comes to politics and leadership. Why do I say this? Because when you look at political parties, these are the two groups that never get a fair share in either nomination or grassroots elections for party leadership. And it's time, this is the conversation we're having right now. And everybody wants to jump on this, these top leaders, everybody wants to jump on this. So I'll tell you as a young man, it's time, we've been used for years. Now it's time to use them to get what we want. Whoever has your interests, that is where you go and take it from.
But is the community ready for youth leadership?
I believe
the community is ready for youth leadership?
I believe it's a 50-50 thing.
Interesting. Fauzia Musasia says, it is great to see our Muslim youth so enlightened. Tabarakallah. James says, very good. Points being made by Wakili. Ahmed said, let's not be persuaded by cheap politics of wheelbarrows and machetes. Let's change the conversation and encourage empowerment and not about power. We need more leaders like you, Bona Wakili. Strong points right there. Going through some more comments right here. Muhammad Arshad, this is something totally a bit off the topic. Says, Assalamu alaikum, thanks for always enlightening us. My wife made application for her passport in Embo on 31st of January 2020. Still waiting. I've traveled across the world, alhamdulillah, but never came across such a system in Kenya. Sorry for all that, Muhammad Arshad. But Attention is attracted to William Ogola's comment. Says democracy sucks. It decides that the people with the most noise wins the tag. Do we need those who make noise, or those who can and will make the political landscape of this country different? Democracy. He's really going against democracy, which is one of the ways that people are elected into leadership. And I asked again, youth, is the community ready for leadership? We've seen a number of people going out there seeking political position, employment opportunities, but again, always the aged are preferred or are prioritized based on quote-unquote experience, quote-unquote their wisdom, quote-unquote they are too hasty. So are we, honestly speaking, as a people, as a community, I still find it hard to believe that we are ready for youth leadership in this country.
First and foremost, let me touch on experience. That thing bothers me to the core. When you tell a young man you're not experienced enough, what do you expect? Someone is straight from, let me use a simple example. Someone is straight from university and graduated, mashallah. And then you're told, okay, you've applied for this job, or you need to have 5 years experience. So you ask yourself, was I meant to be born with that experience or what? It doesn't make sense. That is rubbish. Those are part of the things that have been used to suppress the youth. Because these people, most of them, when they were getting these employments, they were young, when the country was young after independence. Now, they want us to wait for 5 years. And that 5 years experience I'm talking about, when you don't get a job in that 5-year period, then you go to seek the same job, they'll tell you experience is still wanting. Now, I had no job, so what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to boil stones and eat. This is why I'm saying we need to wake up, because they will never liberate your mind. They will never free you from the shackles you are in. It is for you and I to do it. You should be sick and tired of being, personally I'm sick and tired of being a servant to these guys, because they are not leaders. They are kings or bosses, and you are a servant. And that's the problem we have. So we need to change the narrative.
Am I assuming you're going for a political seat come the next general election?
Inshallah, yes, I am.
Interesting. What different are you going to bring onto the table? What are you going to change, especially into the system when you are elected, in the position that you're to be elected?
The most important thing to change in Kenya is implementation of the laws. We have one of the best constitutions ever. The problem is not the document. The problem is the leaders we have. The implementation of the law is the issue. We have so many policies, we have so many laws, but implementation is never done. So the goodwill to implement the constitution and other laws is what we lack. So if we get leaders who are selfless, leaders who are patriotic, leaders who love their country more than they love themselves, then I believe we'll be at a better place.
Have you already declared your candidature for whatever seat you're going for?
I have, but in time, I'll even invite, I'm actually organizing a football tournament. I'll call you for you to come and see.
Interesting. I'd love to take part. So what seat are you going for?
Member of Parliament.
Member of Parliament?
Yes.
Which constituency?
Dagoretti North constituency.
Dagoretti North constituency. Member of Parliament candidate Noor Dean Kagai, right here inside the studio. Mheshimiwa, because in the interest of time, what would be your parting shot? You've spoken about the youth to wake up and actually go for this. Practical steps, theory aside, let's go about the practical steps. You have motivated a lot of people outside there from the comments that are coming in, streaming on Facebook and YouTube and other social media platforms and SMSs as well. What are the practical steps that you can propose for the young man and woman outside there who are listening to you right now, considering that these people, they might have lost their jobs, they might have gone through salary pay cuts, of course, they have gone through the pains of this COVID pandemic that has hit the world by a storm, right? So what are the practical steps that you can propose to those people who are listening to you outside there when they want to change the leadership of this nation?
I'll say 3 words: action, action, action. We have for years tweeted about frustrations. We have for years gone to Facebook to rant. We always rant, but we never take those rants beyond social media. I believe for change to come, you need to take the step. The first step, yes, it might be hard. You might ask yourself, where do I start? We need to move from the discussion of where we are always the menu on the table. We need to be part and parcel of the decision making. We need to be part of the discussion table. No longer be the meal or the menu. And I believe a good way to start, be informed what is happening. We have a very good bill by Sakaja, the startup bill. You need to look for that bill. If you don't have, it's easy, just download it. Or if they can, I can send an email to anyone who wants the bill. Go through the bill. It's all about science and technology, innovations, entrepreneurship. Be part and parcel of the public participation that is meant to happen this coming week. If you're in Nairobi, check the dates. Those who are in Nairobi, like I am in, look for ways and be part and parcel of the public participation. That is on the 7th of October. We need to take steps and be part of the discussion, be part of the decision making. I believe as young people, like I said when I started, do not be entangled in wars you know nothing about. Do not fight for perceived kingpins or certain demigods you know nothing about. Fight for what will empower you economically, politically, and socially. Because I believe the only way we can move forward as young men and women, we need to be together. Our tribe is Kenya, and our language is youth. Forget about everything else. That way, we'll have a beautiful Kenya, and we'll achieve the economic freedom we all yearn for.
Wow, wow, quite very strong, powerful words right there from our guest this evening, that is Nordin Kagai Wakili, a political analyst and getting into the game, as you've had it right here on Horizon TV, declared his interest. He's going for the Dagoretti North seat, correct?
Yes.
And we right here at the Horizon TV and the Live Real Talk team, we wish you all the best. We need the ground. Just last comment that I'm going to read from William Ogola, who's been quite active tonight on this discussion. He says, we need to do groundbreaking. We need to put our feet down and do the muddy work. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can copy and better that which we've copied to make a better place economically, socially, and politically. Thank you so much, William Ogola, for that. And thank you so much to all our viewers who have been watching and tweeting and texting and asked questions. I hope you've been inspired the way I have been inspired today. I hope I get the courage one day and also go outside there and declare my candidature for a particular seat. Anything is possible under the sun. But anyway, you see, we cannot all go outside there and contend. I mean, we all have our different roles to play in this community. So if you guys are contending, then we'll be outside here doing some other things and bringing you the news right here from Horizon TV's Live Real Talk desk. We wish you all the best, my brother. Thank you. Thank you so much for all of you. Thanks so much for everyone who has made this program possible tonight. I've been your host, Feisal Kassim, and this has been the Live Real Talk. I promise you, this is not the last time you're seeing Nordin Kaga, inshallah. I hope he'll have time for us once again and again and again and again, inshallah, when we invite him over right here at the Live Real Talk. Thanks so much. See you next week, same place, same time. I've been your host, Feisal Kassim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.